In order to create a believable Pacific Northwest setting, Remedy wanted to be able to convey the scale of the environment. To ensure authenticity, the team began with diligent on-location research, capturing over 60,000 digital photographs and hundreds of hours of video footage. Wake's engine allows real-time modeling of large landscapes and precise control over every aspect of the game. Alan Wake has been a massive technological undertaking that fully optimizes the power of the Xbox 360 console. But creating great-looking environments was only the first step. The game's internal simulation also manages different weather conditions, as well as various lighting conditions. With different presets, the same environment can rapidly change from calm and idyllic into dark and foreboding. This allows the designers to easily modify any sequence in the game to match the intended mood and atmosphere of a scene. A lot of effort was also spent on character lighting. Full body motion capture and expression capture were used extensively throughout the project. Light is an integral gameplay element, and thus the entire technology was built to support Alan Wake's fight with light gameplay mechanic, delivering an intensely visual gaming experience. Remedy's team is passionate about creating high-end technology, but at the same time, the designers emphasize that all this technology is built with a single goal in mind: to deliver the best possible game.
We were quiet for a very long time. I mean, we really didn't show very much of Alan Wake, and it was amazing to see so many people following Alan Wake. And from our heritage, from Max Payne, we had a lot of fans that were consistently checking out what's new on alanwake.com, writing on the boards, and there's a lot of anticipation and expectations out there.
I totally understand the perception that it has taken a long time, but we really wanted this game to fulfill its potential and really meet the expectations of all the fans out there.
We've done an endless amount of research on this title, so the background research has been meticulous. We've looked at things such as ghost towns in the Pacific Northwest, tornado behavior, even the architectural integrity of these buildings. We even have a landscape architect who's worked to make accurate landscapes.
And we did several trips to Pacific Northwest with the art team, and myself and lead game designer Mikael, we drove about 2,000 miles around it for a period of almost 2 weeks.
We came back with over 40,000 photographs that we are basing the environments and models on.
We went to see places like Astoria, where the movie Ring was made, and that's a very typical Pacific Northwest coastal town. Twin Peaks was shot at North Bend, which is not that far from Seattle. We took a lot of reference material from there to get that small town feel and what it really means. The story has fantastic elements, but it has to have its roots deep in reality. What does a light switch in small town in this part of the world look like? And when you have photographs, you have something where you can make art very much more quickly, and it becomes so much more somehow tangible.
We've looked at NASA star maps to make sure that the stellar constellations are correct in the night sky. So there's a lot of intricate detail. Not everybody will realize these individual details, but I think they come together to form a whole package that's just a living, breathing, credible world.
One of the most impressive places we went to in Oregon was Crater Lake. I remember the moment when I walked on the edge of the cliff. I wasn't expecting much. I have to say my jaw dropped because the water was so blue, huge, absolutely blue screen blue. This location was the inspiration for Cauldron Lake, which is very pivotal to the story. There even is a lodge on the edge of the Crater Lake, and we have our own version of the Cauldron Lake Lodge.
The technical requirements of such a big game mean that there's very few off-the-shelf solutions that you can purchase to achieve the vision of the creative guys. As such, we've needed to build our own tech from the ground up. There are some great solutions out there like Unreal Engine and Havoc, but none of these would have provided what we needed. A great example is with the Havoc physics engine. We've taken that, it's a really great piece of software, but it doesn't go as far as we need it to go. For example, Havoc includes an off-the-shelf vehicle solution, but we needed to take that and rework it from the ground up to provide the feeling that we were looking for.
When I got to see some of the materials Saku showed me of Alan Wake, that actually hit me that we can do pretty much anything with this game. Sort of like we can light it as we like, we can use the cameras we ever want, we can pretty much do everything with the Remedy game engine because it's so incredible.
In this game we are working with huge landscapes and environments and really trying to catch the right mood and atmosphere. So we have a really huge game world and we need really good tools to create a nice atmosphere for the scenes and for the game. And we have really good simulation parameters to control daytime, time of the night and moonlight to create a good mood. The tool is really powerful and gives us lots of opportunities to polish the levels really high quality. So it's really easy to use and I can do really effective things with our tool. So for example, I want to create a road to the gold mine here. I just select the police. Let's choose the gravel road. Now there's a road that leads to the gold mine. And also that contains all the foliage, more shrubs and haze and everything. Blends them together really nicely. You don't have to do that much hand work to create a really nice looking road through the forest. Also, it's really easy to create fields or cut down the trees or plant trees. So, for example, we have here a huge forest valley. I want to have a field here, so I just select the area where I want to create that, and just let's have a corn field and maize even there. So now there's some UFO circles and cornfield there. Also, you can add assets into the level really easily. And there we have a red pickup truck. And you can place also other prop items really easily. And now we should have a grain silo. The ambience presets allows us to control different kind of weather effects for the scenes. So we can control the fogginess of the levels, how far you can see, also different kind of other weather effects like the cloudiness, making the scenes look really nice. And also we have a lot of control over the different kind of post-process effects to make scenes look even better. Well, it's really dark and creepy night now.
With the first games that I worked on, Max Payne 1 and Max Payne 2, we were really limited by a lot of the tool set and the ways of delivering the story and the environments. With the Xbox 360, we're able to harness a lot more power, and we have a uniform platform, so we don't need to worry about a lot of the compatibility issues that we did with the first Max Paynes. What we do have, for example, is this large 100-kilometer space that we can stream, and a lot of the fidelity of the graphics and the audio bring the world to life. So we're getting closer and closer into areas where graphics are no longer such an issue, or lighting is no longer such an issue. It becomes more about artificial intelligence, it becomes about the delivery and the acting of these virtual actors, and more about being able to cross that uncanny valley of you have somebody who looks awesome or looks very realistic, but are their reactions always going to be as realistic as you want them to, and so forth. So I think the challenges are changing as we go forward.
Artificial intelligence is a very broad term used to describe a whole variety of different issues. For example, if you think about what a monster needs to do in the game, it needs to perceive the world, it needs to figure out where the player is, figure out tactics of how to approach the player and how to attack him or flee from him or dodge behind cover or do all the other various things that make it feel like there's some intelligence in the bad guy's head, which is a very big task. Take, for example, a typical enemy in the game, a Taken. It will probably start out with a concept, one of the concept artists, and it will go through to a modeler who who will build the mesh for it, which will then be mapped to a set of bones, which is like its skeleton that it uses for animation. That'll go further to an animation team, which will build up a set of animations for it. The animation program will help implement those animations. And finally, when this mesh and the animation set is ready to go, its behavior is set up by another programmer, an artificial intelligence programmer. And finally, it can be placed by the level designers in the game. The level will then get converted to what we see on the disc, and then more programmers further translate what's on the disc to what you see on the screen.
So my job is basically to take all the animations that the animators give me and put it all together. So I'm sort of a spindle in the middle of the net, making it all work. I first get a rough version from the animators. I use that to plug it into the game, make everything work. I send it back to the animators, make them a build, and they can continue iterating with that to make it look good.
So most of the animation is based off of motion capture, at least for the human, normal characters in the game. We're really trying to capture the fact that they are normal people. For the Taken, there tends to be more of an emphasis on keyframing. It's done off of video reference that we shoot and keyframe based off of that. So it gives a little more of a fantastic sense with the animation, but it's still grounded in reality. A big part of animation is not just creating the animation itself, but seeing how it interacts with the other animations in the game. And the only real way to tell that is by playing the game over and over. But in this kind of arena, we can just jump right in and test the animations right away. We don't have to go forward to the part of the game where this character appears or anything like that. We can just jump right in and look at a character without anything else in the way. As you can see, this is not our in-game lighting. This is just something that makes it easy to see what the characters look like and just focus entirely on the performance. So this is kind of our little animation playground. We can drive our car around or jump on top of things, run upstairs, go to the convenience store. One of the keys to doing good motion captures is a lot of planning, knowing exactly what you're going to do. And you don't really go in and mocap just one or two animations. You try and get a big chunk of them together, know exactly what you're going to go for, and then go in and shoot it. You have somebody directing, somebody operating the mocap, and an actor in the suit giving the actual performance.
He's probably kidding, Birch. He's got a great sense of humor. Just ask Sinclair.
Overall, we have a couple of dozen of rather central characters. This is part of the Lost America, like you have this 50s style diner where you have the outfit of a waitress, you have these logger types, you have this park ranger, quite soft man actually, very keen on coffee, keeps talking about coffee.
Try the coffee. Just don't blame me when you fall in love, 'cause it'll break your heart when you have to leave.
We have Barry, who's the agent. Everybody loves Barry. So we sort of wanted to find a character who could be the sort of comical sidekick of Alan Wake. Obviously, when you have so much voice acting, that's one of the key storytelling methods. You really want to focus on casting. I think the hardest cast we had was Wake's wife, Alice. We had about 200 ladies to read for the role. We knew that Alice is a very important character. That's the main motivational reason for the player, just as Alan Wake had to work in his world and try to get his wife back. So the character needs to be in a very short moment of time, and in the flashbacks which Wake has, all those moments have to be really deliver in order to make people emotionally caring about Alice's well-being.
We want to make kind of characters that are more than that, just kind of cardboard cutouts or caricatures. We wanted to give them depth, and since Alice doesn't have that much screen time, it's a difficult thing. We wanted to make a strong female lead, and in some ways we saw that out of the couple, she is the stronger one. That's the reason why the New York flashbacks came into the game. We needed to show their relationship and show everyone that she is worth saving.
In order to have emotions in music, you really have to know the characters, you really have to feel them. Remedy has made a magnificent job at creating such characters because they have so many features and layers, and they are almost like a, how would I say, polyphonic instrument, because they have not only one color but multiple colors at once. And they are very believable, they are real. For instance, Mr. Wake's instrument could be considered as guilt in the beginning, which then evolves into determination, and then only in the later stages of the game it becomes action. And Alice, she bends but she doesn't break. Without Alice's flexibility, they probably would have divorced or parted a long time ago. And then there's Barry, which is one of my favorites because I find a lot of myself in him. He's kind of hiding everything behind his jokes and his manly posture, and he obviously has some issues. So it's those very believable and human things that I like to put my fingers onto. I felt at some stage I even used scoring Alan Wake as a psychological relief to myself, letting out some demons. Oh. It was really touching to see orchestra playing some of my cues, even though I used string samples when I composed music. It's a totally different dynamic level when you see and hear dozens of people playing the same note and really concentrating on what they're doing. You could feel the combined emotion of all these people.
We're using around 1700 sound effects in the game. We have around 1 hour of cinematic for the in-game cutscenes, and I think we are using up to 1500 voiceovers. I have to figure out which kind of sound effects we need in the game. If we decide not to make them in-house, I have to make sure that I request them from our outsourcing companies. We're working together with SoundLab, which is the in-house sound department from our publisher, Microsoft Game Studios. And we're working together with Soundalux, which is quite a famous Hollywood studio. For example, they did the latest Star Trek or the latest James Bond. SoundLab did some outdoor recording sessions to provide us with proper source material we could use for sound design. So they sent one of their sound guys to spend a few days in the northwest of North America, in a tent actually, and he recorded some great forest, wind and river sounds, birds, owls, all that stuff that we're using later on to create the ambient tracks for Alan Wake. So the biggest creative challenge was to create a sound for the dark presence. And of course you don't have any idea how this is going to sound like. What came into my mind was to use some really harmless sounds that you never would recognize as being scary, process them and make them sound weird. So what I want to show you now is how I created the bat sound. Bats means bringing enemies to the system. So whenever you get chased by Taken or you get in danger, we fade out the ambient track and we fade in the bat sound. So what I did, I took a baby scream and processed it, and that's how it sounds. So another one I took is some baby kittens. And after processing them, they sound like this. So these sounds combined, and some other sounds as well, sound like this. And it sounds like this in-game.
from the very beginning, when we were starting to think about the game and franchise as a general, we knew that we want to create something bigger than just one game.
The success of Alan Wake will really define where we go with this, and clearly we have a lot of story to tell and we have a lot of things to explore, and we always set out to build something much larger than a single game, but clearly it will be defined by the success of this game. So we're doing some downloadable content which will peel up the mystery and share more of the creative vision that we have for Alan and continue his journey.
But from the very start, when we started thinking about it, whether we should do it or not, we decided that we don't want to do it just for the sake of it. Not just because everybody else is doing downloadable content, but you know, it has to be something that people really enjoy. So it's going to be a great bridge between Alan Wake 1 and hopefully what will be Alan Wake 2. And I hope everybody out there will really enjoy it.
We like to kind of use pop culture and borrow from pop culture in our games, and the best possible thing, which has already happened with Max Payne, is to have these games become part of that pop culture that other people will find inspiration in and borrow from in their own works.